Hey there, welcome to Twin Oaks Farm Poultry. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you being here. We raise Cornish rock cross meat chickens on a 6-week production schedule. They have a dedicated barn, as you can see there, and anyone who's watched some of our previous videos knows that this is a change of scenery. We really don't raise our birds outside, but we needed to actually have them outside for the day. So in this video, we're just going to briefly discuss why they're outside, how we got them outside, what the purpose of that is serving, and how the day's going for them, as well as how we're going to eventually get them back inside. So we get asked in person and in comments on here on our channel, Twin Oaks Farm Poultry on YouTube, how we feel about pastured poultry. So we really don't camp out on one side or the other of this issue, pastured poultry or raising poultry indoors. Where we camp out is do the best you can with what you have. And so it's really a question of what do your resources allow you to do that is best for your livestock. And so in our case, we really don't have the quantity of land or the geography of land to support a pasture-raised system, and we needed to be able to do multiple small flocks more or less back to back. So we knew that based on the geography of our place and our resources, that the best thing we could do was set up an indoor system for raising our poultry. So that's what we do. But we're not opposed to poultry being outdoors. There's just special considerations we have to take care of if we're going to have poultry outside for an extended period of time, which is no different than any other system of raising livestock. No matter what we do, no matter what system you choose, no matter what system you like, none of it is easy. All of it has requirements. It takes what it takes, and it's just a matter of matching your resources and what is practical for your situation with the system that you set up for your livestock. So we're going to put the camera back on the birds. It is recording this on a Sunday. You know, when we take YouTube videos, sometimes I get it right on the first try, but most of the time not. Most of the time it takes me multiple efforts at a YouTube video, and this is no exception. So we're really low tech, so whenever it's all or nothing. Whenever we attempt a YouTube video, I either got to get it right or I have to pitch it, because I don't have the storage capacity on the tech in order to just take multiple takes, and I don't have the editing capacity. So you know, it's really just all or nothing. So we're trying to get just a good video showing you why our birds are outside and what that's like for us, and again just kind of emphasizing that we don't really have a preferred position. There are definitely advantages to pasture-raised poultry, but on the other hand, you have to keep your birds safe, and you have to keep your birds fed and watered, and you have to keep your birds thriving. So it's almost kind of like going back to when we've had videos where we talked about brooding the meat birds, and we said, you know, basically if you have 4 things covered, you're going to be good. If you have protection from predators, food, water, and the right temperature, you're going to be good. You're going to successfully start meat chickens. So it's no different if you want to put meat chickens outside, and it's no different really no matter what age your meat chickens are. If you want to have success with your meat chickens, you have to have protection from predators, you have to have food, you have to have water, and you have to have a temperature and environment that is comfortable and conducive to them thriving. So we're definitely going to go back to the birds. As I was saying though, trying to get a quick thought out, it's a weekend when we're recording. This won't go up till Monday, first of the week, but it's Father's Day as I'm recording this. So happy belated Father's Day as it is uploaded to all the dads out there. And this year on Father's Day at our house, we have our oldest son. His birthday is falling on Father's Day this year, and it's kind of a big birthday, kind of a milestone birthday. So it's just a great day. And you know, in agriculture, in farming, in all of life, we have ups and downs, and we have each other, and that's what matters. That we're in the ups and downs with each other and trying to get through it. So really blessed and excited as we end the day up later to get to just you know, just celebrate the ups and downs and celebrate each other. So we're going to go back to the birds and kind of go over what is going on with them being outside. So a flock of 5-week-old Cornish rock cross meat chickens, about 280 birds now in what you're seeing here in front of you. We've separated some out. We do have a small rump pen of smaller birds that are actually, they stayed indoors. We're not subjecting them to the strain of being put in and out of the building and having to deal with the sun and having to move as the sun moves. So as you're looking at these birds now, they've got a week of production left. And these birds, this is probably, I'd say this is the best flock for us. This is flock 5 of 2023, and I'd say this is the best flock of the first 5. So, so these 280 approximately that you're looking at, they're doing super. Overall, our flock survival at this point is 93%. So our mortality is 7%. So we're really happy with that, and we got a week of production left. So if we can stay where we're at on survival versus mortality, I'm going to be really pleased if we can end the flock like at 7% mortality before processing. So that's where we're at on that. A week left to go in production. If we're gonna, okay, so why are our birds outside? Our birds are outside because we assessed inside our building that the floor needed a rest. It's kind of boring to see an empty building, but that's where we're gonna go just for a second. Gonna give you a look inside the building for a moment. We were in there last night doing chores and could just get a hint of that ammonia fume smell that you get in an enclosed area when you've had animals on the bedding, and you know, the biological manure material builds up in the bedding. Even if you're keeping fresh bedding on top, it is still building up there. So building is empty. This building probably hasn't been empty definitely since February. It hasn't been empty, maybe part of January, but we do still have the brooding fortress back here in the corner, and the runts, we actually made them a pen up in the front corner, and that's keeping them protected from the sun and any strain of going in and out. But we emptied the building out. So actually, I'm going to go to the how did we do it. To get these birds out, we took this panel that you see in this doorway. I've said before that's temporary. It's just the chicken panel attached to like some 2x6s, and those are just held in there by 4 screws, just like toe-nailed into the door framing. So we actually took that down, and then we had to use that very panel itself like a moving fence to encourage the birds to leave. So maybe you wouldn't have suspected this, but these birds did not want to come outside. They wanted to stay in their building, which chickens, all chickens, do have a really strong homing instinct, probably extends to all birds for the most part, but chickens have a very strong homing instinct. They basically want to stay home, especially meat chickens that are more or less sedentary natured. Even our egg production birds, if you let them out and they roam, and they'll roam further if there's a rooster in their group, but even if they roam, they're going to be pretty reliable about coming back home. In fact, we've had groups of egg chickens that, like we brooded them and started them in one place and then wanted to move them to another place, and on down the road when we'd let them out, they would try to return to their first home because they just have that strong a homing instinct for where they started. But that's what we did. We used that panel like a movable fence. It actually took 3 people and about an hour to convince 280 Cornish rock cross meat chickens to leave their building and come outside. So we had a little more shade when they came outside. And right now, we're not getting a lot of shade right here. We're relying on tree canopy, and they're hugging the contour of that tree canopy shade pretty tight, and some of them are even going back into this thicker vegetation that I don't really want them in. We don't want to lose one in there, but I'm keeping an eye on them. So I said before, we got to give them 4 things. So like when we decided to rest the floor of our building by taking them off of it for a day, and I don't know how much of it you're going to be able to see, but I mean, the ground is just littered with their manure. It would not take long if we were doing, like, say, a chicken tractor or an enclosure. It would not take them long, just maybe 3 days. They'd kind of coat that grass all with manure, and we would need to move them. So that would be a consideration if you want chickens outside. If you're going to have fencing or you're going to have a chicken tractor, they're going to coat that ground with manure. So you need to have like a place to rotate them to, would be how we would want to do that, I believe. But back to those 4 things all chickens need: predator protection. So that's the difficulty for us with these birds being out. There's no fencing, there's no overhead fencing from predators in the air. There's no fencing on the ground from predators on the ground. At this tree line actually that they're sitting at, we have a lot of predators just beyond this wood line. We know we have bobcat on trail cam just beyond this wood line. We know we have foxes in the area. I'm here, you know, if anything tries to attack them while I'm here, I'm going to do my best to thwart that. But you got, and I may not be able to stop it, honestly, realistically, but you got to have predator protection. When we moved these birds out for the day, we couldn't just say to ourselves, well, when they get thirsty, they're going to go back inside the building. Well, we had to put the panel back up to keep them out, or they would go back in just to sit inside and we wouldn't be resting the floor. But also, they're not going to go back in the building. They won't do it. They'll just sit out here and get thirsty and dehydrate. So we have to bring the food out. We have to bring the water out. And the other thing was temperature. And so that's a big deal for us when we choose, even for a day, to put birds outside. We have to deal with that. If these birds would set out there beside the barn where it's sunny, they would overheat. They'd get too hot. We would probably end up losing a bunch of them just to overheating, because they'll actually have a tendency, meat birds specifically, Cornish rock cross meat chickens, they will have a tendency to sit and get too hot rather than simply get up and go to the water. So, you know, we have to be paying attention. Multiple times throughout today, I've had a group of birds leave the large group and go back over toward the building, and I've had to go to the building and physically move them back. So at any rate, so this is just a for the day thing. We actually have done like pasture raising to the extent that we've finished birds, like say their last 2 weeks out of doors, 24 hours a day. And we had to take into consideration all the management that entailed. But pasture raised can be great. Consider your resources. Determine your system based on what's going to work for your resources. And the last thing I'm going to say about being outside, I did mention we don't have the geography for chicken tractors or for fencing the birds and putting them outside. It's because of the lay of the land. I actually have had 2 birds just today that they got like on this hillside, because this is a gentle downhill grade more or less from north to south that they're on. And so if they prop themselves up heading downhill, I've had 2 do that and actually roll over on their backs. And had I not been right here to turn them back over, they might have survived, but chances are they would have suffocated. And if these birds get on their backs, there's no way that they're getting rolled back over upright themselves. And if they stay there long enough, they're gonna run out of strength, they're not gonna be able to hold their head up, and they're gonna run out of air and they're gonna suffocate. So be aware, your meat birds are gonna do best on flat ground and on footing that isn't going to get slick. So we've rambled long enough. We try to stay shorter than this on our videos, so I'm going to conclude it for now. We can talk about this topic again. Thank you for joining us at Twin Oaks Farm Poultry. Please subscribe to our channel, and we greatly, greatly appreciate your support of our channel and of our farm. Thank you so much.